Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I would love to have you here on a regular basis. And hit the like button down there if you would. It helps out the channel in many ways. And, that's the part you can do, and this is the part I can do. So what is this and what's on the table? Well, this, first, was loaned into me for review by Chris over at Thai Addiction. That is a really nice YouTube channel. I will post a link in the description so you can check him out, and please do. Chris has really interesting knives, and this is absolutely one of those. This is a Liong Mah design. This is the XV, or 15. It is called that because this is his 15-year anniversary knife. Only 300 of these were made, and Chris happens to have one, and now I get the opportunity to check it out, which is very, very cool, and I get to share it with you, which is even cooler still. First, you can tell just by looking that it is a big knife. We are over 9 inches. We are 9 1/8 overall, but we'll get to the rest of the specs in a minute. But you guys know I like big knives, so this really appeals to me. It is integral, or integral, depending on how you want to say it. They didn't do anything to take away from that, but what he did have them do, now this is, I said this is Riot made, and they've done a phenomenal job, is it's been milled right all the way down and then milled into screens on both sides, as you can see my hand move underneath, to lighten the weight and also just to show off their milling capabilities. I mean, I thought at first that somehow they had mounted these screens inside the integral handle, but nope. These are just milled that way. Then they've been anode blue to match the pivot. That is an astonishing piece of engineering. It really is. Blade is S35 VN, and as you can see, it is a very traditional Tanto. There is a blade stop that is drilled through here, which I think is very cool. And it is a frame lock, as it would have to be for an integral knife. And we're locked up at about 25%, and we are locked up beautifully. It's got this steel external part that's attached, which is what touches the blade, so you're not doing titanium straight onto steel, which is brilliant as far as I'm concerned. It has a flat spot here, which you can put your finger on if you wanted to, but man, you'd want to be very, very careful using that because you are right up on the blade. The pocket clip is a milled piece of titanium that is shaped to follow the swell of this gorgeous handle. It's just out of this world. Held on with a single screw at the back, which means you can flip this if you want to and use it as a left-handed knife, although you can't change the lock side, of course. There is a ceramic ball that acts as the ramp and the thing to keep you from slipping back out of the pocket, and it is tight without being overly so. It's hollow ground and then flat ground up here at the tip, which is one of my favorite grinds. God, this is a beautiful knife. The action is superb. It really is. It's almost pneumatic, right? It isn't so fast that it just slams shut on your finger, but with a little bit of wiggle, it just smoothly closes. The flipper tab is unobtrusive and very small and very high on the knife, right? So it's out of the way when it's in the pocket, but you get plenty of, grab to make it do what it's supposed to. I really like this knife. Now, it is an older design, and what that means is you can definitely feel when the detent ball, right, hits the blade, so it has sort of a secondary stop. A lot of reviewers are really negative about that. I've had a few knives where it's been an issue enough that it's bugged me, but this is not one of them because the blade on this thing is heavy enough that it will drop past it without too much effort. But just know that it's there if you wanted to chase one of these, and I don't know why you wouldn't. They knock down, the blade there's no edge. You don't have to worry about cutting yourself back here, even though it is very lean. This is just really well done. God, this thing is beautiful. There is a lanyard hole drilled through the back of the knife, if that is your interest or intent. As you guys know, I don't lanyard, but it's there if you want it. Now, as I mentioned, this thing is 9 1/8 inches overall. You get 3 3/4 of cutting on 4 inches of S35 VN. The grip area from just behind the flipper tab there, which is nicely hidden, by the way, which is a really nice touch. is 4¼ inches. I mean, there is room on this thing for days. You can adjust your grip any which way you'd like, and it is exceptionally comfortable. It is pokey because of the Tanto design, so if you were going to get into a gas station argument, you know, there's plenty of knife there for you to do that with. Don't do that sort of thing with your knives, of course, but if the situation called for it, this would be an exceptionally suitable tool for the job. I really, really like this. I like it enough that I'm sad I have to give it back. Let's do some size comparisons. Here it is against the Para 3. I know, I'm changing things up. Don't panic. I just felt like breaking some other knives out. And as you can see, it is considerably bigger than the Para 3. Let's do, of course, the PM2. This happens to be a PM2 at S45VN, and it dwarfs the PM2. Sort of. It is considerably longer, but I'll tell you, the carry profile of the XV here is just much nicer than this monstrous PM2. I don't mind this, but some people, you know, as Metal Complex says, this is sort of an awkward carry profile. As you guys can see, and I put a titanium backspacer on mine, aftermarket clip. Yeah, this is definitely my knife. This 9-inch knife has just slightly, I mean, if we take into account the swells up here at the top, we're looking at 1.25 inches of carry profile, but the rest of the knife runs in just at 1 inch. It is very lean and very comfortable in the pocket. I've been carrying it. Chris asked me to. I've even cut stuff with it. Again, Chris asked me to, but I have been gentle because it is not my knife. I hope you guys understand. I'm not going to take it apart because I don't take apart integral knives because I don't want to mess with it, but I do know that it is running on ceramic bearings, and I don't know if this is a completely round pivot or not, and I'm never going to find out. But just know that if you had to take it apart, that might be the case because it is the same on both sides. It's possible. I love stuff like this. As much art as it is science, really. It is a technical marvel from the folks at Riot, but then again, they do a phenomenal job just over and over and over again. Liong Mah designs are amazing, and I've met him in person at Blade East in 2019. Very nice guy. His knives are expensive. This was $300 when it came out, and that is not an unusual price for his stuff now. Whether that's worth it would be entirely up to you. I look at this with all of this milling and all of this work, and I absolutely see $300 in value sitting here. So, again, that would be something that would be up to you. Let's go ahead and get some specs out of the way. It is a reasonably thick chunk of S35VN. Look at the way they've done this swedge across the top. Isn't that beautiful? It just makes the knife look super lean, and yet it is nice and thick stock. It does, because it is hollow ground, it comes down to a really nice edge. Made a little thicker up here at the top of the front of the blade for piercing, of course, but this is one of the things that Riot does as well, if not better than anyone. My Chavez 229 is the same. They take thick stock and then they hollow grind it in such a way that you end up with a really nice and slicey blade, even though it is a very thick and durable chunk of steel. Let's make sure that's at 0, and it is. Back here at the thickest point, we are at 158 thousandths, which is, we're going to call it 4 millimeters because my calipers are suck and they're cheap, but that is 4 millimeters of S35VN. This is beautiful. The handle itself at its thickest part, which is actually back here because of the way they made it to fit the hand, is 13.62 millimeters, which is going to come in just a hair over a ½ inch. It makes for a very comfortable grip. I'm afraid that, Chris, this has gotten lost in the mail, and I apologize for that. No, I'm kidding. But believe me, I would keep this thing if I could. Wow, this is a good knife. Now, I know some of you are like, why are you showing me a knife I can't get? Well, because I'm a knife collector who happens to have a YouTube channel. I bring stuff in that interests me, and I hope it interests you, but this is not a retail or a sales channel. I'm not out here trying to make you go buy stuff. I just really like sharing cool knives with you, and this This is absolutely one of those. Now, if the knife was for sale, I'd put a link down in the description, and I will put a link to Liong Mah's website, just so you can take a look at what he has going on now. So what's the final... Oh, before we do that, my goodness, let's weigh it. 9-inch knife. 5.5 ounces, 6 ounces, 7 ounces? I don't know. Let's find out together. 4.8 ounces. That is very light for a full 4 inches of 4mm thick S35 VN and full tie. And again, it's because of this marvelous milling. That must have been such a pain in the ass to do. Oh, wow. And yet, here it is. It's got XV right here on the back of the handle. This thing is gorgeous. It really is. There's that little bit of hang up, right? Move past it and it drops right shut. So the final analysis, if you find one of these and you like it, buy it. You will not regret it. If you're like me and realize that finding one of these is going to be damn near impossible, just know that it's cool and it's out there, and I have really enjoyed showing it to you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Feel free to check back for knives that are a little more available as we move down the line, and of course you can check back through my catalog of videos for lots of knives, both cheap and inexpensive and super expensive and everything in between that you might enjoy. If you have any questions about this or any of my knives, feel free to ask down in the comments. We'll see you next time.